Hi everybody! Today we are going to take a closer look at flowers. So we're going to learn different parts of a flower, and then I'm going to show you how you can take apart a flower, you can dissect it, so that you can find each of those parts in real flowers. Alright, first let's take a look at a quick diagram. This is a picture of a flower that I drew, and I drew it so that it looks like the flower has been cut in half so that we can see the inside of the flower and learn more of the parts. So the first plant part I want to talk about is the petals. And the petals are the purple part right there. Petals are usually nice bright colors to attract bees or other insects to come get the pollen, which will help pollinate the flower later. The next part is the stamen, and the stamen are really important because that's where the pollen comes from. The stamen make the pollen. So there's this long stalk right here, and also at the very top there's the anthers. That's the yellow bits right there. That's where the pollen actually comes out. So bees can pick up the pollen from there and carry it to other plants. Here in the middle of the flower we have what's called the pistil. And that's this long tube that goes down into this sort of sac-like thing. And in the bottom of the sac, that's where these little baby seed eggs are. And the pollen has to go all the way down that long tube, meet up with the baby seed eggs, and make new seeds so that you can plant new flowers. Next we have what are called the sepals. That's these two little leaf things down here. Some plants have these, some don't. But the sepals protect the flower before it's bloomed. They cover the bud of the flower, and when the flower opens up, they're underneath the flower. So sepals are leaves that protect the flower. Finally, we have the stem of the flower, and that's the part that supports the flower while it grows. Let's take a look at some real flowers and see if we can find all of these parts in them. Alright, I've got my daffodil here. Let's start with just taking a closer look at it. So I'm going to hold it up, and we can see that this daffodil has some petals, right? We can see, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Has 6 of those petals around the sides, and then it has this kind of fancy one in the middle. We can even see that it has a sepal. That's this dried off part right here. That was the little leaf that was keeping it safe before it was able to bloom. And I can see the stem as well, right here. But let's take a look on the inside of this flower. So we're going to cut it open and see if we can find the other flower parts that are on the inside. I realized when I was looking closer at this daffodil, it actually has somebody living inside of it that I'm going to have to find a new home for. I wonder if you can see them. It has a little bit of spider web, and it has a little spider waiting in there. I'm sharing this because that spider is very smart. Can you see its legs? It's a smart spider. The reason is that spider has made its sneaky little nest in there so that when pollinators like bees or flies or anything that tries to come, a beetle, they're attracted to the beautiful flower to come get some pollen or nectar, that spider can catch them and get a nice bug snack. So, I think I need to release our friend before I can cut this flower open. I'm glad I saw them before, but that's pretty cool. It's a clever spider. Figured out how to get pretty easy lunch there. Let's release it. Come on, little friend, out you come. This is no longer going to be a good place to catch anything. Out you come. Poor thing. It really ruined its day. Picked the wrong flower. I'm sorry, my friend, but it's time to come out. Can you see it in there? It really doesn't want to come out. Alright, let's try tapping. There it goes. Bye, friend. I hope you find a new safe home. Alright, so I used my handy dandy sharp knife to cut open this flower, and you can see I cut it in half so that we can see things a little bit closer. Over here, by the way, this is the little bit of spider web that our spider friend was living in, so maybe you can see it a little bit better. Little spider web blowing in the breeze. I hope our spider finds a new home. But let's take a closer look at our flower. So let's look at this half first. So we already looked at the petals, but let's look at the stuff that's on the inside. All right, in the back of this flower in the inside, we can see the stamen with these thick parts on top. Remember, the top of the stamen has anthers, and that's where the pollen comes out. So let's go ahead and see how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There are 6 stamen on this daffodil. And it has one pistil right here. This long part with the little sticky stuff on the end. The long tube that goes down into this nice hollow, just like in my diagram, right? And then if you look really close, I'm going to look at this one because this is where most of it went. You can see the little baby seed eggs. Boop! Those are those little white things on the inside. This is also called the ovary. That's the bottom part of the pistil. And the ovary is where those eggs hang out until some pollen comes into the top of that tube right there. Now, if I touch these parts right here, the stamen should get, you can see a tiny dusting of pollen on my finger. All right, I'm going to take these a little more apart so that we can look at each part super individually. So we can look at our flower and all of its individual parts. Here's the petal, the pistil, the stamen with the anther on top. We have the sepal here, and the stem. Something to keep in mind is that every flower is really different. So does this dandelion look like that daffodil that I cut up? I don't really think they look super similar. They're both yellow, but they look pretty different. So when you cut apart flowers, their parts are going to be different, and sometimes flowers don't have all of those parts for us to look at. But let's take a look at this dandelion to see what it does have. Let's start with the outside. Does it have a stem? Yeah, it's got this stem right here. Dandelion stems are kind of fun because they're hollow. So you look on the inside and there's like a little hole. It's like a straw. So this dandelion does have a stem. And look, it's got some protective sepals down here, these little coils of leaves that used to protect the bud before it opened up. So it does have some sepals right down there. But let's look at these petals. So dandelions do have petal-like things. There's another special science word for them that we won't get into today, but they do have some special petals, these nice yellow colored ones, to attract bugs. When we look inside, these parts right here, these are all pistils. And then the stamen are a little bit shorter down here. So I'm going to have to cut open this flower to get a closer look at that. Right, let's start with this part. So dandelions are a little weird, where they have lots of teeny pistils, and that is what this is right there. That's a pistil. And so this is where the little pollen will go and go down this tube into here, where it will develop into a seed, right? So when that seed develops, that is its own teeny flower, basically. This is just a collection of a lot of tiny flowers. It's a weird plant. In the middle, right in here, these short parts, those right here, that's the stamen, and that's where the pollen comes from. It's in the middle of all of those pistils. These are all pistils, these taller ones that have like the split ends. And each of the pistils has a weird little petal attached to it to attract a bee. But it makes sense when you think about it that these are a bunch of different little flowers, because remember, what does a dandelion look like after the petals are gone and it's made seeds? I wonder if we could find one. Alright, this is a sidewalk near where I live, so I didn't even have to go very far. Look at that. There is a dandelion after all the petals have gone and it's just seeds. So if you look, it's really just a ball of individual seeds that can be blown away. Can you see them in there? Each one of those used to be its own flower. Flowers are so cool. So I had fun taking a closer look at flowers with you. I hope you go on a walk in your neighborhood and find some cool flowers to look really close at, because every flower is different. Some of them might have all of the parts in there, some of them might only have some, and the only way you're going to find out is by exploring. So maybe go and see if you can find some of the most beautiful flowers from your garden and take a closer look and see what there is to see. A really good type of flower to look at, if you want to make sure that all of the parts are there and they're really big so that you can see them really easily, is different kinds of lilies. So think those big lilies that they sell in grocery stores that have 6 big petals. So if you either grow those or you have them at a grocery store that you can do a pickup for, that's a really good flower to be able to see all those flower parts really big. But otherwise, just like I showed you, you can look at any flower and you can find some of those parts. I hope you have some fun. Bye!